Hello, I'm your host, Giselle Gamby, and this is the Intuitive Pull Podcast, where together we'll embrace the plans we did not make yet, unfold businesses and lives that are so much greater in wealth in all ways than any business or life plan could ever achieve. My wish is that you make intuition your most trusted advisor. So buckle up, get present, and let's go. I'm back again. I'm back. Welcome again. Here is another episode for the week of 11th of April. I've just recorded episode 24, and this is another extension to that episode and also to last week's episodes. If you haven't listened to them already, I would recommend that you do. Intuition or Ego, episode 22. And episode 23, The Power of Surrendering to Intuition. I really encourage you to go and listen to those before this one. And also to episode 24, which was released today as well, called Authenticity is Profitable. So there's kind of like a sequence here is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, listen to your intuition. It might tell you to start here, or it might ask you to start back at episode 22. This episode is entitled Momentum Serves the Committed, Part 2. I released Part 1 on the 10th of January when I became aware of the premise, because it's a premise that momentum serves the committed, is the leading premise of this year's theme, which is an abundance of miracles, an overflow of miracles. In Part 1 that I released on the 10th of January, it was quite a naked episode where I shared that I became honest with myself that I'd been saying to myself all last year that I want to lose weight because I am more than what I feel comfortable with, more than what I feel good in. And I know the type of body and the energy that feels really good for me. I've been there. And so I thought I was committed, but I wasn't. And so it was quite powerful for me to own up to that, and that I'd been telling myself all sorts of stories why I wasn't losing weight. And yet the truth is that I actually really wasn't committed. I've got another distinction for you around momentum serving the committed. When I had that realization, I made a commitment to myself. I didn't make it immediately. I made it. It probably took me about 3 weeks to really feel that commitment and to not lie to myself that I was committed, and to know that that decision about being committed had integrity. And so I made the intention. Has anything moved the last couple of months weight-wise? No, it hasn't. Does that mean that I've not been committed? This is a nuance. No. For us to realize things, for us to realize an intention, if you think about an intention, it's simply an energy. It's simply a thought form that is formless. It doesn't yet have form. In order for us to bring that intention into physical reality and to make that real, we not only need to remember that who we really are is formless, that our soul, our spirit is formless, and that our nature is infinite. But we also have to remember that we're a human being as well, and that we are living on this planet Earth. And so in order for something to manifest, not only is there a requirement to make a commitment at that intentional level, at that formless level, but we also have to ground it. I mean, even if you think about most beautiful, the most beautiful thought of human creation. It's not simply enough for a woman to think that she wants to have a baby. Unless, I don't know whether this is politically correct or not, but I was about to say, unless you're the Virgin Mary. But, for most of us, there needs to be a physical action, right, in order for that to happen. So that's the same with everything. So I committed probably the end of January this year. Nothing had shifted. Kind of like an inconsistent experience, a couple of kilos down, a couple of kilos up, a couple of kilos down. But does that mean that I was not committed? On one level, you would say yes. But on the other level, I would beg to differ. I know the steps that are involved in following the intuitive pull. And one of the steps, so you can listen to that episode, Following the Intuitive Pull, if you want to update yourself on the journey and all the different steps that I have observed in following the intuitive pull. One of those steps is that the perfect support arrives. The perfect support arrives. There's a premise. I'm just going to kind of like go backwards a little bit here. There's a premise that says that structure has integrity, meaning that structure will deliver a certain outcome, right? Depending on the quality of that structure, it will deliver a certain outcome. Let's just use the example of, I thought probably the most relatable example I could give would be paying off a mortgage. So the structure of a mortgage is that we make monthly payments, we make minimum payments. And over time, that amount gets reduced to get to a point in time where that balance is paid off and the mortgage is done. So structure has integrity. The structure of a mortgage has an outcome where the mortgage will be paid off versus a credit card. So with a credit card, the structure is that we only have to make minimum payments and that we can continue spending up to the amount that we're allowed to spend on that credit card versus the mortgage where the debt reduces. With a credit card, if we're not aware of our spending choices, the balance can go up, the debt can go up. So in both of those examples, you can see that structure has integrity. The structure of each of those things creates a certain outcome. It delivers a certain outcome. Back to the part of the conversation where I talked about we manifest at the level of intention. So we have an intention that arrives. It lives in the formless world, but that's not enough to realize that because we are also a human being, that we need to ground that intention. We are either going to employ structures that support us in our finite nature and structures that support us in our infinite nature. So back to that really basic example, a structure that will support us in our finite nature is the structure of a credit card. If I go along the idea of not being aware of our spending choices, that structure is going to create more debt. And then there are structures that support us in our infinite nature that create growth and more growth. It's the structures that live in this space, in the space of our infinite nature, that are here to support us in our infinite nature. Those structures are not structures that we try and find, right? Because if we are trying to find those structures, we're using our finite rational mind. And if you listen to the episode before this one, I was going around and around and around in circles when I was trying to find a structure that I thought would help more people. So structures that support us in our infinite nature, that doesn't create more debt, it creates growth. Those structures find us. And they're the most perfect structures that find us. So when you have truly committed at an intentional level, and you know that the intention needs to be grounded as well to create momentum, somewhere in the ether, we have made a bargain or a vow or a promise or a deal or a partnership with God, love, the universe, the divine, and that perfect structure finds us in order to help us realize that intention. And so if I think about structures that found me back in 2013, when my business was in chaos, I was in chaos, so therefore my business was in chaos. A wonderful coach, Jasmine Platt, reached out and said, "How are you going?" And I said, "I'm not going well." And then she said, "Let's have a call." And I was watching how she had this call. I was very curious around the model of coaching that she spoke to, that I've surrendered to and said yes to. And thanks to her, I was shown a structure of coaching, of being the coachee that I really loved, and therefore adopted and made it my own. That found me. Last week's experience, when I went around and around in circles, thinking that I needed to adopt a different model in order to help more people, well, the current structure that I use, which is full of intimacy and presence and connection, it refound me. I rediscovered the magnificence of what is already here. When I had hit the ceiling of the consciousness that had created my last growth cycle 4 years ago, and I was starting to feel a little bored, I looked at, different coaches. I knew it was time to grow again, and therefore it was time to open up to support. And of course, as I've said, Facebook is flooded with a lot of noise as to who can support you. And I knew that none of those people were it. And the person that was for me, I had already met back in Jasmine's mastermind in 2013. And so Daniel, I refound Daniel, and I'm in my 4th year. I'm thinking that I will probably do a 5th year because it feels really good. And now back to my vulnerable sharing. As I said, feels so naked. I have to really watch the thoughts that the judging thoughts here about sharing this with you, and choose to continue to share it with you. So when was it? It was last week. Yes, it was last week when I realized that the current structure was not working for me in order to consistently lose weight and return to the version of me that feels really good in my physical form. And so I thought, will I go back to vision personal training, where I had had success in the past? And literally, I was about to write a message to my old personal trainer. And then I opened up my email, and there was an email from actually a former client, a very talented nutritionist called Kylie Pinwell, who spoke about this program. What is it called? Called Weight Loss Wisdom. And when I went and read about it, it just felt right for me. It's hardcore. It's really hardcore. And I'm pulled, really pulled. And it found me. And I have paid for the program. I will start Monday, Easter Monday. I'm in her Facebook group with other women in their 40s and 50s who have already completed this program or are in the midst of it. And I love community. Structures that work for me are structures that I can't do it solo. I just can't do it solo. I love to share the experience. Love it. And so my first post in that group was, inspire me with what your experience has been here. I'd love to hear. I want to get to know you. I want to get to know what your experience has been. And of course, their experiences have been incredible. So I will put Kylie's Weight Loss Wisdom details in the show notes too, in case you're a woman in her 40s and 50s who feel to move some stubborn hormonal weight on. So the perfect structures find you when you are identifying and orientating in your infinite nature. And you know that in your infinite nature, it's never about, a decision is never made from judgment or shame. It's always made from a place of self-love. That's the difference. That is the difference. Let's do the contrast of that just to really make this point punctuated. I could have made a decision to lose weight, to get back to the state of being, physical being that feels good to me. I could have made that from a place of judgment. Oh my God, Giselle, I can't believe that you've put this weight on. Oh, how unacceptable you are, how unattractive you are, how unlovable you are, etc., etc., etc. Oh, therefore, I need to find someone to help me lose weight. I promise you, making a choice from that energy of judgment will only ever create an outcome in alignment with that. So the weight might go, but then it will come back on so that I go back into judgment of myself. And hey, this has been something that I've lived with for a long time. So I know when decisions are made from judgment, and I know when decisions are made from self-love. And I know that this decision is made from self-love. So much self-love that I'm willing to commit to this really hardcore program. So much self-love that I'm willing to be all in, that I'm willing to surrender. And this is huge, right? Because I have a big social life. Eating and drinking is part of that social life. And I'm going to bunker down for a couple of months, right? So I'm willing to let go. I'm willing to let go of that part of myself for a little while. I'm willing to be all in for a little while. Structure has integrity. If you become aware of the quality of structure that you are choosing to support, whatever choice you have decided to manifest, to bring into the world, and you are aware of that structure either supporting you in your finite nature or that structure supporting you in your infinite nature, it will make all the difference. Momentum serves the committed. I wish for you to have enormous momentum this year. And I wish for you to really truly know what it feels like to be committed to who you really are, committed to your relationship with your infinite nature. I wish so much goodness for you. You may have heard in previous episodes that I'm also returning back to my first love of writing. And so if you would like to receive me in your inbox every week, please go to the show notes and fill out a subscription piece. It'll take you to my website. And I look forward to being and meeting you in your inbox as well as through these episodes. Please share the love. Please share this podcast with those people you feel would love it. And if you haven't already subscribed, these are the things that I forget to say at the end of episodes. So I'm getting better. If you would like to subscribe, that way you will receive notifications of the episodes. I've got 3 episodes this week. So enjoy. Lots and lots of love. Bye.